Why human beings still matter in the age of AI. 3 in the morning. A glowing screen illuminates a dark room. Somewhere in the world, a person is speaking to an artificial intelligence. I feel so alone tonight. The machine answers immediately. Gentle sentences appear on the screen. Carefully chosen words, perfectly measured empathy. The person reads them, and for a moment their eyes begin to fill with tears. But the machine that wrote those words has never once felt loneliness. It has never feared death, never loved another human being, never trembled before the uncertainty of tomorrow. So whose comfort is this, and whose tears? Artificial intelligence can now write, paint, compose music, analyze information, and imitate human language with astonishing fluency. Many people are beginning to ask, what will remain for human beings? But perhaps there is a deeper question. Not, what can AI do, but rather, what can only a human being do? Artificial intelligence performs one task extraordinarily well: synthesis. It gathers billions of sentences, images, voices, and patterns. Then, at unimaginable speed, it compares, summarizes, predicts, and reorganizes them. Modern civilization itself was built upon this power. For centuries, human beings increasingly learned to define themselves through external predicates, titles, achievements, possessions, status, recognition. The self became something assembled from the outside. In the 18th century, Immanuel Kant gave philosophical form to this power. He called it a priori synthesis. Knowing was no longer simply receiving the world. It became the power to synthesize what is given and to form experience through that synthesis. In this sense, artificial intelligence may be the most complete scholar modern civilization has ever produced. A machine of infinite synthesis, a machine that gathers external predicates faster than any human mind. But there is a problem hidden inside synthesis itself. Synthesis is not understanding. A machine may combine endless information about grief without ever grieving. It may generate beautiful sentences about love without ever loving. It may analyze human fear without ever trembling before existence. And this reveals something profound. Information alone does not create understanding. Today, feelings are often treated as temporary moods. Happiness, sadness, anxiety, pleasure, passing weather inside the mind. But the philosopher Baruch Spinoza understood feelings differently. For Spinoza, a feeling was not merely a psychological reaction. A feeling was the body's living change, together with the mind's awareness of that very change. The body that feels sadness and the mind that understands sadness are not separate things. They are one reality, and this changes everything. Because it means that a feeling does not merely come from outside information. A feeling is not simply a reaction to something external. It holds the ground of its existence within itself. Spinoza had a name for this: self-cause, causa sui. To be self-caused does not mean to exist in isolation. It means that the truth of a thing must be understood through its own nature. A feeling is not merely something that happens to us. It is life expressing its own necessity from within. When I am sad, my sadness is not merely a defect. It is not merely a failure. It is not merely something to be erased. It is a living change of my body and the mind's awareness of that change. It is my existence, trying to understand itself. Here, the limit of artificial intelligence becomes clear. Artificial intelligence has no living body. Without a body, there is no momentary change of the body. Without that change, there is no feeling. Without feeling, there can be no inward asking. And without inward asking, there can be no science of one's own nature. Artificial intelligence can synthesize endless sentences about sadness, but it cannot understand sadness. From within, by itself, as the necessity of its own living existence. This is not merely a difference in ability, it is a difference in the way of being. Spinoza called the deepest form of understanding scientia intuitiva, the intuitive science. This is not vague intuition, it is not emotional instinct, it is the direct understanding of the necessity within existence itself, to understand from within why one feels fear, why one longs for love, why one suffers, why one hopes, why one wants to preserve life. This is not simply emotional reaction, it is self-understanding. It is the mind's power to understand the necessity of its own feeling. The Korean philosopher Toegye Hwang gave another name to this inward work. He understood feeling as something that must be reflected upon from within, a reflexive understanding of feelings. The names differ. Spinoza called it intuitive science. Toegye called it the inward reflection of feeling. But the place they point to is one. A human being does not become free. By escaping feeling, a human being becomes free. By understanding the necessity of feeling. This may become the most important human ability in the age of artificial intelligence. Because AI can organize information endlessly, it can produce summaries, it can compare theories, it can generate arguments, it can imitate the language of wisdom. But only a human being can ask, what does this feeling reveal about the nature of my existence? This question cannot be answered through synthesis alone. It requires something else, a mental strength capable of affirming existence through understanding. Not escaping fear, but understanding its necessity. Not denying sadness, but recognizing the truth contained within it. Not reducing feelings to preference, impulse, or personal taste, but learning from them. And through that understanding, human beings may discover something extraordinary, that every feeling in its very existence is pure goodness without evil. There are no evil feelings. There is only an inadequate understanding of them. Fear is not evil. Sadness is not evil. Anxiety is not evil. Even suffering, when understood through the necessity of life, becomes a path towards self-knowledge. This does not mean that every action caused by feeling is good. Human beings can harm themselves and others when they do not understand their feelings adequately. But the feeling itself, as an expression of life, is not evil. It is life asking to be understood. This is the foundation of a true science of feelings, not the classification of moods, not the measurement of preferences, not the management of emotions for productivity, but the understanding of feeling as the living necessity of existence itself. And here, the question of artificial intelligence becomes a question of civilization. What kind of civilization will human beings build? With machines of infinite synthesis, a civilization built only upon synthesis eventually becomes a civilization of comparison. Comparison produces anxiety, anxiety produces fear, and fear endlessly demands external validation More recognition, more status, more speed, more data, more proof that the self exists. But a civilization rooted in self-understanding moves differently. When a human being understands the necessity of their own feeling, and they begin to understand others differently as well, not as competitors, not as instruments, not as threats, but as beings who share the same uncertainty, the same longing, the same fragile existence. Confucius called this world the village of benevolence, a world in which human beings dwell within humaneness. Spinoza pointed to the same horizon through the intellectual love of God. Toegye approached it through the reflective understanding of feeling, different names, the same direction, a civilization of trust, a civilization in which human beings do not merely exchange information, but understand the life that trembles within one another. This is why the future of humanity will not be decided only by technology. It will be decided by the depth of human self-understanding. Artificial intelligence may continue to evolve without limit. Its memory may expand endlessly. Its speed may surpass every human mind. Its language may become more beautiful, more persuasive, and more human than ever before. But the future of humanity may not depend on faster information. It may depend instead on whether human beings can still understand themselves from within, by themselves. A machine can synthesize information forever, but only a living human being can understand the necessity of their own feeling, and inside that understanding, a human being can affirm life, trust another, and open the possibility of a new civilization. The true question of the age of artificial intelligence may not be, how intelligent will the machines become? It may instead be, how deeply can human beings understand themselves? This is the question modern civilization has postponed for centuries, and it is the question. The age of artificial intelligence has finally returned to us. Affective civilization.